the bedroom. But anyway, that's all. So thanks for joining. It's a big day for Swifties, and if you're not into Taylor Swift, you're probably really sick of hearing about it. But if you are, or you're just curious, like, thanks for joining, because this is something that, I just really wanted to do. I'm a Swiftie, and no one's more surprised than me about that. I was, I just was never aware of her. I was never into her, and I didn't understand like why people were so passionate in either direction about her. It never made any sense to me. And then when I was going through my divorce, and my daughter was like getting a little older and a little to the age where we were having more crossover in music, where it wasn't just like we're listening to the Frozen soundtrack, although we still listened to a lot of that for a bit. Um, or me just going like, hey, listen to my old 80s post punk, modern rock, whatever, which she still loves, and that's great. But so we had started listening to Lord, and then I was like, well, you know what? Let's listen to Taylor Swift. Why not? And so 1989, like she was on tour with 1989 at the time, and I went and I got the CD, and I remember like getting home and putting it in the CD player at our apartment, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, and I was kind of overstimulated. It was like the end of the workday, and I was like doing chores and making dinner and stuff. And then I heard the song You Are in Love. And at the time, I was. And I kind of froze in my tracks when I was listening to it, because the simplicity of it, and then she gets to the bridge, and I just get chills. I still get chills when I hear that song at the bridge, because um, she says, now you understand why they all lost their minds and fought the wars, and why I've spent my whole life trying to put this into words. And it really resonated. It really made me feel like, because at that time I was in the relationship after my divorce, and it was the one that ended in the blindside breakup. And the love that I had for him, the love that I experienced with him, was like so intense. It made me go, oh, this is the thing, right? Like I had never experienced it before. And so I suddenly understood. I understood, like I thought I understood before, but I really understood. I understood the movies, the songs, all of that. And so it really struck me. And so the next day, I went and bought all her CDs up to that point, which was four, four others. So, and that ever since, and then that album and Red became the soundtrack to the divorce, this next stage of my life. And then when Reputation came out, it really resonated with the stage of life I was in, because that's her talent. That's what she does. She somehow speaks to exactly what you're going through right when you are, and puts words to it. And so that's why I wanted to do this topic today. And I know it might seem a little silly, but it's also that today's release day, and how many times will we get this in our lives? It might feel like it's not that big of a deal, but if you really think about it, she's not going to do this forever. We only get so many times that we get to anticipate new music and go through the marketing roll up, because she's a marketing genius. And I wanted to do this topic for a long time, especially after I would say Evermore was one where I felt like that whole album was um, speaking directly to my divorce and my blindside breakup, and really putting words to how I felt. Um, and if you've heard Happiness or Tolerate It, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm kind of gonna go off on a tangent here. I have notes, because I always have notes, because I always want to make sure that everything I was planning to get to, I get to, and I don't just riff and forget things that I really wanted to make a point of saying, because I think that they're worth hearing. So again, if you're new here, hi, I'm Caroline. I'm a former white glove matchmaker turned certified NLP and life coach. And my work now focuses on helping people heal from dating burnout and from heartbreak, because those are really turning points where people sometimes give up on things they really want, or start making decisions and choices that aren't really leading them closer to their goals. So, after working one on one with hundreds of daters, I've seen this again and again. It's not the breakup itself, but it's what you do after. So that's why I want to really focus on those times. And it's very closely related to burnout, because burnout is when you slowly, burnout is when you just kind of slowly lose your enthusiasm for meeting someone new. It starts to affect how you show up, how you act, when you do meet new people, the choices that you make. And people sometimes start to feel like they just want to give up on it. So, it's really similar, and that's like why I'm so passionate about those kinds of two periods of relationships. Um, I don't believe you have to be in a relationship to find a fulfilling life. I don't believe you have to find a soulmate. You can rebuild confidence and clarity and direction in your life, regardless of where that leads you. If it's to a new relationship that you really want, or if it's toward just thriving on your own, which I totally admire and really thought that that was where I was going to go in my life. So, but my job is to help you get unstuck and start moving forward step by step, to helping you create a permanent toolkit for recovery, whether it's recovery from breakups, recovery from burnout, that will last you a lifetime. I don't coach you forever. You know, some people, like, you go to, say, therapy and you're in it for this undefined period of time. We don't do that at all. You are in a transformation period. When you are done, you are launched. You can always check back with me. But for a lot of my clients, I'll just follow you on socials and see how you're doing if you'll let me. So, anyway, so let's get into it. I'm wondering who's a Swiftie, or at least knows how well Taylor writes about relationships, the highs, and especially the lows. It it just goes to show everyone can suffer heartbreak, and sometimes it's so helpful to have someone help us articulate our feelings. And if you're anything like me, you were maybe raised to shove your feelings down or even feel ashamed of them, right? Especially intense ones. And that means part of the work of my life is to acknowledge and label those feelings. And Taylor really, really has helped me a lot with that. As I was saying, Evermore is the album to me that's like chock full of songs about my divorce, my blindside breakup, relationship after my divorce. Like, hearing Happiness and Tolerate It in the midst of the pandemic, it really, while I was, in love, right, in a relationship and building a new family, it really healed something in me that I didn't realize was still a wound, you know? Um, so today, in honor of the new album, um, I want to look at some of Taylor's like most iconic breakup songs, not just for the drama and the feels, but for the wisdom they hold about moving forward and using them as fuel to create the best life we can. So this could easily be a 4-hour session, and we still would not have scratched the surface of Taylor Swift songs on the topic of heartbreak, love lost, and moving on. So I guarantee I will not be covering songs that you would consider vital in this topic. I can think of so many. I'm really, really sorry. I try to keep it these under 30 minutes each, and I know today we're already going to struggle with that. Because I want them to be digestible, but I am super happy to revisit this theme with requests in the Breakup Recovery Club. So if you join that, we can totally do sessions on this. We can dissect other songs and see what else we can learn, right? So I want to start with the super iconic All Too Well, either version, right? And this song is really the power of acknowledging your pain, right? It's a song about remembering a very intense love down to the finest details, and then imagining that the other person is remembering too. And it resonates really well with people because it captures the rawness of remembering everything way too clearly and then struggling to reconcile it with the reality of what it was and how it ended. So she starts the song with it being in the early days of a love affair and feeling really hopeful. Like you're really building something strong and real and lasting. Anyone strong enough to risk believing this knows how this feels, right? To risk believing that you're in something serious and that's going to last forever, you know that this is tough. Um, Meeting each other's families, spending holidays together, spontaneous road trips, the intensity of it all in the beginning. And she said, she wrote, photo album on the counter. Your cheeks were turning red. Used to be a little kid with glasses in a twin sized bed. And your mother's telling stories about you on the T ball team. And you taught me about your past, thinking your future was me. Right. And you feel like you're able to start investing in this future. And then it moves to the cracks starting to show that she feels ignored. She's increasing anxiety about where she stands. And then being really let down by someone who promised to be there for you. And if you know the lore, you know that he did not show up for her 21st birthday party. And it hurt her. She sings about it in several songs because it hurt her. And if you've ever had someone you love not show up for you, this really stings. Like, what that's like. The breakup in this song is super acute. People get chills when she said, "You called me up again just to break me like a promise." No matter how many times I hear this, I am thrown back into that feeling. It's just so well expressed. The pain and the despair of a broken heart, it's intensely described in this song. And in the 10-minute version, she wrote, "Time won't fly. It's like I'm paralyzed by it. I'd like to be my old self again, but I'm still trying to find it." And actually, I think it's in both versions. Yes, it is. That feeling is so universal. Like when you've been through a big life event, you want to go back to how it felt before, which we may remember as like normal, but you can never go back again. This is really worth remembering. You'll never go back to how you were because you grew and experienced things that change you. You have to redefine normal now. So, what we can learn from All Too Well, both versions, in early breakup days, you need to let yourself remember and feel instead of forcing positivity, right? You want to honor your feelings and allow yourself to remember, but try not to force judgment on it. It's really easy to think like they told me they love me, but then they didn't stay. How can both things be true? But it's better if you can just let the memories exist as they are. Nobody's perfect, not even Taylor Swift. And we all do things that like don't match up. We all say things that don't match what we do. We all give advice we don't take ourselves and so much more. So it's best to have that kind of grace for your former love too. They did and said things they felt at the time. It didn't make them untrue, right? And you did the same. So try to let the memories move past you like clouds in the sky without analysis or judgment, and accept the imperfection of love. And remember how the song ends with looking back and accepting the beauty of the moment, whether it was as beautiful and miraculous for the other person or not, it was beautiful for you. And you did your best loving that person. Okay, the next song I want to talk about is We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. And this song is really about boundaries, right? And it's super easy to write this song off as just a bop, jabbing at an ex. And it's actually really about boundaries. Many people have gone through this. It's like a tumultuous relationship, on again, off again, with someone who won't choose you, but you keep the door open, hoping things will get better. And when she wrote, "I'm really going to miss you picking fights with me," she's sarcastically pointing out everything that was wrong in the relationship. Things she won't miss, right? This is a really good healing technique, which is focusing on what you won't miss. And no matter how awesome your relationship is, there will always be things about the other person or your dynamic that you won't miss. like as a super personal example, I love my partner. I think my partner is amazing in so many ways. But one thing though that I struggle with is that he has bad travel karma. And it feels like if we take a trip that is more involved than a long weekend away to a drivable destination, things go wrong. And none of them are his fault. They just like happen. But it causes me anxiety about taking trips too. And we also don't like a lot of the same music, although he supports all my Swiftie tendencies. He watched the Eras movie with me. He gets my daughter merch for gifts. It does cross some things off the list of what we do together. Like we have only gone to one concert together and I love going to concerts and luckily I can take my daughter or go with friends. I have only brought him to one concert with me before, which was M83 because I thought that he would enjoy it. And he did, but he said it was his first concert since he moved to Seattle. And that was like 15 years ago that he hadn't even. Anyway, like I had an ex who loved all the same music I did, and we loved going to shows together, but he wasn't partner material in the end. And some things matter, like showing up for each other with equal commitment, and some things don't, like enjoying the same music. But the point here is that clarity is key. So many people get stuck because they have like half hope the person will return. Like they answer their calls hoping they will come back around. But what they're really doing is carrying around an empty chair for someone who doesn't want to sit in it. And when you're doing that, you're not making space for anybody else, especially yourself, because you're spending so much time thinking about this other person. And what this song teaches us, what We Are Never Getting Back Together teaches us, is that setting boundaries, like no late night texting, not checking socials, blocking them, this is an act of self love. Like boundaries don't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's just saying no, right? Just clearly no. And if somebody repeatedly shows you they can't give you the relationship you need, you are allowed to close the door and lock it. I know sometimes it feels like, well, what we had, like with what we had, I don't feel like I can just leave. But let me tell you, it's okay. It's okay to say this is over and it needs to be over for once and for all. That's okay to do. You can do that. So, thinking more about the breakup journey, I want to look at the song Clean and how it illustrates freedom from the release of the past. The song Clean on 1989 portrays the moment of feeling washed free after heartbreak. It is often listed as one of her best songs. I don't know how anyone can really evaluate that, but she uses the metaphor of water and she opens up with the drought was the very worst when the flowers that we'd grown together died of thirst. And it has always reminded me of Prince's Nothing Compares to You. And yes, I know the song was made famous by Sinead O'Connor, but it is a cover of a Prince song, if you didn't know that. Because that has the lyric, all the flowers that you planted in the backyard all died when you went away. And when we love, we plant seeds for the future, but they have to be nourished to grow into something real and lasting. And as I say all the freaking time, healing isn't linear, but there is a turning point where you start to feel a little lighter. And when Taylor sings 10 months sober, I must admit, just because you're clean don't mean you don't miss it. We feel the truth of trying so hard to move over, but being taken back to the past, love, and person. And then she says, when I was drowning, that's when I could finally breathe. And by morning, gone was any trace of you. I think I'm finally clean. She's expressing the wholeness of the pain being the gateway to healing, right? Like just immersing in it was the path forward. But because you can't sit in the pain forever. Trust me, I personally know people who've stayed stuck for decades and never moved on, convinced they will never find love again. And there is no convincing them otherwise. There is no solving that for them. That's not like life. That's an existence. It's like, it's not fashion, it's clothes. it's it's not cuisine, it's just food, right? Like there's living and then there's existing. And I'm not saying that a life lived alone is meaningless at all, but there's a big difference between moving forward and creating a fulfilling life for yourself versus defining yourself by this one lost love. There's research that when men and women get divorced, women, especially if they are parents, more quickly move on to the identity of single parent than men do, and men hold on to the identity of divorced man like way longer. Like this event, they hold as an identity, whereas women embrace the future identity, which is like, oh, now I'm a single parent and I will be single parenting. Like, and I've always thought that was super, super fascinating and really sort of held up by my experience, both personally and professionally, that this is true. Um, and so I think it's really important to like think, okay, am I thinking about my future identity or am I being defined by my past? We all have identities that are, you know, daughter, son, brother, friend, coworker, neighbor, whatever. We all have these different identities in relation to other people. But what is really important is not how they identify you or how an event identifies you, but it's how you see yourself, right? And so, from a healing standpoint, the song is really about diving into self love practices and extremely intentional growth, and then reframing the breakup as a catalyst for transformation. In the end, she's clean of the past and she's ready to move forward, and she's kind of like fresher than ever, right? Um, and that's the thing I'd love to help people do is move forward more clear-eyed than ever, like, and more hopeful than ever. And the final song I want to talk about today is one of my favorite songs that people kind of sleep on. I don't know why, but it's from Red. It's Begin Again. And in that song, Taylor wrote, I've been spending the last 8 months thinking all love ever does is break and burn and end, which I always change to the last 30 years because that's my own truth. And it's so easy to get stuck there in the belief that love only equals hurt. But the pain is part of the risk of loving and opening yourself up to being loved. It's totally worth it to do. I promise you. And though it may be hard to accept when you're in the pain, having suffered a broken heart can make a person feel closed off to the possibilities of life, whether that involves falling in love again or not. And after a breakup, it's completely natural to protect yourself with walls. It's functional. You need to reserve the energy for yourself and not be focused outward and try to keep other things from kind of penetrating that space that you need to keep for your own healing. Thoughts of an ex like might linger, right? And memories sting. And part of you may feel like moving forward is impossible, but temporarily. Like, remember, it's temporary. Closing off is a survival tactic when you're in distress, and it's not meant to be a permanent state. So when Taylor writes, but on a Wednesday in a cafe, I watched it begin again, which I always sing on a Monday because I literally met my partner on a Monday in a cafe. October 1st to be exact. We just celebrated 7 years since that day yesterday. Um, this is such a beautiful way to express that initial hope when you feel ready to open yourself up again. She even sings, I almost brought him up, but you started talking about the movies that your family watches every single Christmas, and I want to talk about that. And for the first time, what's past is past. Her mind wants to walk that well-worn path back to her ex, right? But she realizes the future is more exciting and the present is more important. And we can all learn from that moment and redirect ourselves to what is real in this moment. What could be if we wanted it enough to leave the past behind us. Because you never know when you'll be surprised. But if you stay walled off, you will never be surprised, right? Love, warmth, and connection reappear when you least expect it. but you have to be open to it, right? Openness is not about rushing into love. It's about keeping space for possibility of love in many forms, not just romantic love. The core message of Begin Again is bravery and opening up to mere possibility. Does she say in the song, "This new person is my new great love"? No, she doesn't at all. She just describes the moment of being surprised by possibility and realizing that holding on to the past is not serving her present. So, staying open after heartbreak is an act of bravery and not naivete, right? It's not like you're so stupid you would let this happen to you again. It's that you are brave enough to risk that it could happen again. But if it doesn't, the reward is worth it. It's worth the risk, right? And you don't have to wait until the pain is completely gone. Healing and openness can exist together because true resilience is the willing to risk love again, even while carrying scars. Because you are changed. As we talked about before, you can't go back to normal. You can't go back to before, right? You are who you are now, and you have scars, and that's part of life. So there are, to me, like a lot of good practical takeaways from Begin Again. Number one would be small steps, right? So say yes to coffee with a new friend, or joining a community group, or meeting someone new, or making plans for something you're excited to do that you personally want to do, right? Staying in like a gentle openness, notice when you're closing off out of fear versus choosing healthy caution. There's a difference, and examining your reasoning honestly will help you determine which is your motivation in that moment. And then having courage, bravery is not about like never feeling hurt. It's about choosing love anyway, choosing to take a risk anyway, because you only get smarter on the journey to the life and love you want when you try new things. If you stay where you're comfortable, you won't learn, right? Then Taylor sings the title, right? I watched it begin again. And it's framed as an external viewing of her experience in the moment. She stays where her feet are now and focuses on the experience she's having now and allows herself to be open to enjoying it regardless where it goes. So I'm always curious what beginning again would look like for you right now. Even if your heart still whispers the name of your ex, choosing to stay open means you've already started beginning again, right? So I think about like from All Too Well, which is feeling the pain. We Are Never Getting Back Together, which is about setting boundaries so you can move forward. Clean, which is allowing yourself to process the feelings so you can find the path out. To Begin Again, which is feeling ready to open yourself to possibilities for your future. Taylor has so many songs we could have used for this journey because it's so universal. And she's so good at putting words to it. She's really, really good at that. Your breakup, it can be the turning point that helps you live better than ever if you walk through the stages intentionally and with grace for yourself, and you honor how strong you are and remember that what you want from life, because you have to move forward. I promise you, staying stuck, it's not truly living, it's existing, right? So if you like this or any of my other sessions on healing from breakups, join my breakup recovery group. It's a supportive space where you don't have to go through this alone, but you also don't have to invest in private coaching if that feels like too big of a step right now. That's super low weekly fees, like a coffee. You can cancel and rejoin based on your journey and progress, since healing isn't linear, and access special life sessions, guides, AMAs, and more. So if you looked back just a few weeks from now and realized you could feel stronger and clearer and more confident about what's next in your journey, that's what would happen if you joined. So in the group sessions there. So please share it if you're not in this space right now. If you know anyone in it, please share it because um, I'm really excited about it. It's been going really well. And I want to make sure that people who are really looking for help have it super accessible. So if any of this resonated with you today, remember I offer three free breakthrough sessions if you want to dive deeper into what's holding you back and map out your next sessions. They're just one-on-one with me on Zoom, cameras on or cameras off, whatever. Um, Super low pressure. People often walk away with clarity they haven't had in a very long time. And if I can't help you further, I will give you resources specific to your situation. And finally, if this conversation's hitting home, you will love my free workshop next week, October 7th. It's Tuesday. So that's your next chapter, moving on after a breakup. So we're going to go way deeper into how to reset after breakup and start writing a new chapter for yourself. So make sure you're registered so you don't miss it, and bring a notebook because we're going to cover a lot in a very short period of time. I mean, who wouldn't want to get through the part of a breakup faster and feeling better than you could have imagined? Like, I know that if someone had promised me that, I would have been like, yes, please. Oh my God, this is the worst feeling and I need it to be gone. Right. Um, anyway, thank you for indulging me on my Taylor Swift session today. And remember, again, it's sometimes one step forward, two steps back in recovering and feeling better and getting to your next stage. It isn't simple, but you're already on your way just by being here, just by listening. Next week, because I'm doing my live workshop on Tuesday, I won't be live in the group, but the week after, I really want to talk about resourcefulness in creating your next phase. I think like that's a topic I really want to revisit or visit. I actually don't think I've talked about this much before, so I really want to work on that. So that's in 2 weeks. Anyway, remember, hopefully I'll see you inside the group or in the breakthrough sessions or in the workshop, okay? Or the Breakup Recovery Club. I'm going to put those links down below for you. And hopefully I'll see you there. And I really especially want to see you next Tuesday in the workshop if that is something you're going through. If you know anyone who's going through it, please share it with them. I really pack it full of information, exercises, advice, mind shift opportunities. It's really a jam-packed session. So hopefully I'll see you there, or you'll share this with somebody who's going through it. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Bye.